Good morning and welcome to Hashtag Rise and Grind. I am your host, Glenn Lundy. I am a husband to one, a father to six, and the general manager of Dan Cummins Chevrolet Buick in Paris, Kentucky, the second largest used car franchise dealer in the United States of America. It is 5:30 a.m. and I hope that you are ready to rise and grind.
Hey, what's up, guys? I've got good morning. I'm having a little technical difficulty over here on the on my phone, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish that up. Sorry about that. How's everybody doing this morning? Good morning. Welcome to the Rise and Grind. Today is Tuesday, February 20th. Another warm, beautiful, amazing, incredible, fantastic day. And what's up, man? I am so glad you guys are here to join me this morning. We're going to talk about the fact that you do not have to rise and grind if you don't want to. You do not have to whip out the hashtag rise and grind if you don't want to. That's what we're going to talk about this morning. But before we get into that, I got to say good morning to my good friend, Michael Kerrigan, who I know is in the Rise and Grind this morning, because I know what that man's doing. He done been up for a little while. He is already on the road out there traveling, about to blow his mind. But good morning, Michael Kerrigan. I'm assuming that my good friend Jason Barnett is in here too, even though I don't see his name. I'm sure you guys are listening together as you guys hit your travels. Good morning, Kenny. Good morning, John Hinkson. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning. Oh, wait, hold on. I don't want to say John Hinkson. John Hinkson, I take that back. Good morning, Robbie Toomey. Got to make sure to say Robbie Toomey before John Hinkson, because Robbie's been getting a little upset. But good morning, Robbie Toomey, and then good morning, John Hinkson, Carrie Osborne, Zach Taylor, Aaron Barnett, Aaron Jones. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Going to a new field today to hunt arrowheads, Robbie Toomey says. That's cool. What's up, guys? Do me a favor this morning. Will you do me a favor? Will you go ahead and hit that share button before we forget? Let's go ahead and share the Rise and Grind today. As we kick off, I'm going to tell you guys a couple little stories. I'm going to tell you some stories of a couple people that have done some amazing things in their lives, and it's going to be super cool. So go ahead and hit that share button before you forget. We tend to forget at the end. Let's get some people in here live, because as we all know, it is much better live than it is to watch it a little bit later. What's up, Mr. Garrett Dvorsky? How are you, sir? Garrett Dvorsky's in here this morning joining us on the Rise and Grind. Good morning, sir. What's up, Scott Wells? Good morning, Lena Rushford Barnes. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, guys, check it out. Here's what we're going to do today. Real quick, we need to go ahead and define. We've got this group, and there has been some talk, and I've seen some chatter, and I've seen some different people, and so on and so forth, talking about rise and grind. There's been discussion on, is it important that you wake up super early to rise and grind? And then there's been discussion about, how many hours of sleep you got to get and things like that. Just all these different discussions. So I wanted to define this group real quick. I want to define this group to you and to all the new people that you guys are adding in here, because you guys are inviting your friends and you guys are doing shares and things like that. So let's define this real quick. Okay, so we're going to start by defining, I still got music in the headphones. We're going to start by defining the two words, okay? Let's define rise. Okay, here's the definition of rise. To move from a lower position to a higher one. Another definition is to get up from lying, sitting, or kneeling. Okay, so this is the definition of rise. To move from a lower position to a higher one, or to get up from lying, sitting, or kneeling. Now, make sure you take note of that. We're going to come back to that, okay? Which I love that, by the way, to move from a lower position to a higher one. And then it specifically says to get up from lying, sitting, or kneeling, okay? Love this definition. All right, now we're going to go into the definition of grind. To grind means to reduce something to small little tiny particles or powder by crushing it. Crushing it. Okay, now that's the old school definition. We also have the urban definition. The urban definition of grind is when an individual pushes his or herself to attain a goal, similar to gears grinding against each other. Okay? So we have rise, to move from a lower position to a higher one. Grind is to go out there and crush it, to reduce something to small particles or powder, all right? And we do this by individuals pushing themselves to attain a goal, okay? So now we understand the definition of rise and grind. And what I want to make clear to you is I don't care what time you rise. I do not care what time you get up in the morning. Don't care one bit. I don't care if you sleep 8 hours, 6 hours, 4 hours, 2 hours, 10 hours. Don't care. If it's working for you, it works for me, okay? I want to make that very, very clear. What's up, Jason Barnett? Now, I do want to make it clear that if you rise a little bit too late, you're not going to catch me live on the Rise and Grind, because I'm going to be here at 5:30 every morning for you guys, except for a little later this week, and I'll explain that later. But I'm going to be here for you at 5:30 in the morning. Okay, that's what time I'm going to be here. I'm going to get up at 4:30. I'll be here at 5:30. I'm going to rise, and I'm going to start grinding, and that's what I'm going to do. So that's my commitment to you. Now, what time you go to bed and what time you get up, that's up to you. But I'm just saying, if you want to join me live, you got to meet me here at 5:30, okay? I'm not going to be sleeping in. I'm not going to be lying around. I'm not going to be kneeling. I'm not going to be sitting. I am going to rise. I am going to get up and make that movement. Now, with that said, okay, it doesn't matter what time you go to bed. Doesn't matter what time you get up. What matters is that you get up from that lying position, from that sitting position, from that kneeling position, and you start to grind. Okay? You start to push yourself to attain a goal. You start to smash your moment, smash the day into a powder. You start to crush it. You start to crush it. That's the key. You start to move yourself from a lower position to a higher one. That's what we're asking you to do. That's what the group is about. That's what, when you are a hashtag rise and grinder, that's what it is. It's not that you don't sleep enough. It's not that you only sleep 4 hours. It's not that you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's not what makes you a rise and grinder. You can go to bed at 11 and you can get up at 6 or 7. You can do that. If you've got millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in the bank, if you've got a happy wife, if you've got a happy life, if you've got everything that you need, you've attained all of these things, then please just lie there. Sleep all night if you want. Do whatever it is that you want to do. If you have everything that you need in your life, feel free to do that. However, if you're not quite there yet, if you're like me, then I suggest you rise and grind. Let me tell you a story. There's a kid that worked at our dealership. Okay, this kid was a little redhead kid, not a whole lot to him. All right, just kind of a quiet kid. He worked in our detail department. I would pass by him. I would talk to him every once in a while. Cool kid, just kind of quiet. Didn't talk a whole lot. You know, average sized kid. Just your average dude. Just your average dude in detail. And this kid worked back there, and he was always working. I noticed he was always working, doing something. Well, then it came to realize, I didn't know it at the time, but then it came to realize the kid lived in my neighborhood. He actually ended up living right across the street from me, and I noticed that on a Sunday afternoon, he was in my neighbor's driveway. My neighbor's a gentleman named Jim, and him and his wife are retired, and I noticed that this little redhead kid from my detail shop, on Sundays, he would be next door hand washing the neighbor's car. And then I'd see him a little bit further down the street, and he would be hand washing somebody else's car too. And so I asked him one time, hey, is this guy paying you? Is the neighbor paying you to wash his car? What do you charge to wash his car? And I remember this little redhead kid looking at me and saying, "No, man, I don't charge him to wash his car." Him and his wife Luann are retired, and so I just like to help. And so I come over here on Sundays, on Sundays if it's a nice day and I'm not out doing something else or whatever. I come out here and I wash their car because I like to do something. I just like to do something kind. And I just remember being floored. I remember being taken aback that here's this kid that grinds, man. He washes cars all day long. That's what he does for a living. And yet here he is on his day off. He's washing the neighbor's car for free. So I kind of was intrigued and started to pay a little more attention to this little redhead guy, and he ended up leaving actually our detail shop, man. He left our detail shop because he didn't feel like he was getting anywhere. He felt like he was just kind of lying, sitting, kneeling. He didn't have an opportunity to go from a lower position to a higher one. And so he actually left us and he went to a gun shop, started working at a gun shop. He was working in this gun shop. He was just packaging up guns. He thought it was going to be all glamorous, working with guns. But it turns out he was just boxing them up and shipping them off. And so he was getting really bored with that because, again, he just felt like he was just kind of lying there, just sitting there, kneeling there. He was in a lower position. He wasn't able to get to a higher one. So then he reached out to me and he said, hey, I think I want to sell cars. Do you think I could sell cars for you? And the kid was super young, 19, I think he was 19 years old. And I was like, I remember you being in the neighbor's driveway on a Sunday, and I remember what kind of a grinder you are, and so yeah, you can come sell cars for me. And so he started selling cars for me, and he was average at best. He was an average salesman. He did a good job, and he would show up to work and so on and so forth, but he was average at that point. But he started making some money, and he got himself a place to live, and he got himself a nice car, and he started to rise to a different level, but at the same time, he still wasn't quite grinding it out. He wasn't quite grinding it out at that point. And he got into a little bit of trouble. He gets pulled over one night after being at the bar, and he got into a little bit of trouble. And we were this close to having to let him go. And I looked him in the eye, and I said, look, man, I'll make you a deal. I'll make you a deal. If you will change, if you will become someone who rises and grinds, if you will give me 90 days, 90 days of working bell to bell, 90 days where you are at work at 8 o'clock in the morning and you don't go home until 9 o'clock at night. 90 days with no days off. 90 days with perfect customer satisfaction. 90 days without getting a bad review. 90 days without making a mistake. If you can do these things, I will allow you to keep your job. And I'll be honest, I didn't think there was any way in heck this kid could do it. I didn't think there was any way it was humanly possible. But he did. He began to rise. He began to show up to work on a mission. He began to attack and crush his goals. He began to become an incredible salesman. And as he began to rise, his life around him started to change. He started to change. He started to grow and develop as a human being. He started to become more mature. He started to make better decisions at night. He proved to the entire company that he was legit, that he was on a mission, that he was an asset, that he could do whatever it took to get us to the next level as he himself chose to rise and grind. And let me tell you, that guy is now one of our finance managers. He's one of the youngest finance managers ever in the state of Kentucky. He got promoted to finance, and not only is he one of our finance managers, but he's now our top finance manager in the dealership. He's our highest producing finance manager in the dealership. And he met a girl, and she's beautiful, and she, too, is a rise and grinder. She's probably more intense than he is. She is a beast. And together, they are a power couple. They are dominating. They are dominating. They just had a baby. They bought a house. They got the white picket fence. They got it all together. And it's because every single day he chooses to rise and grind. He understands that he has not quite reached this level. He's not done yet. Now, his story took me a little bit longer than I thought it was. I got some other rise and grinders here in my life that I want to share some stories on, but I'm not going to have time today because we're running a little bit late. But here's what I want you guys to understand, okay? Here's what I want you to understand. Rising and grinding, it's not about sleep, man. It's got absolutely nothing to do with sleep. Rising and grinding is about you making a choice to move from a lower position to a higher position. It's about you making a choice to get up. Don't just lie there or sit there. Don't just kneel there and let life move around you. Get up. You have to choose to attack your goals every day. You have to choose to grind just like gears. Just like the gears pushing each other, you have to choose to crush it every day. Now, this group here, the Rise and Grind group, it is here to help you. It's here to steer, to keep you along by keep adding high octane fuel every day. I'm going to be here for you every day. I'm going to be here for you at 5:30 in the morning. I'm going to be here to remind you that you got to go to that next level. You can't get comfortable, man. You can't get comfortable. I mean, don't get me wrong. You don't have to. You do not have to rise and grind. You don't have to do it. You can stay exactly where you are right now. You can lie there. You can sit there. You can kneel. You do not have to push yourself. You can be content. If you have everything that you need in your life, if you are beyond happy and beyond successful, then you do not have to rise and grind. You don't. But if you're not that guy or you're not that girl, then I'm telling you, you got to get up. Stop lying there. Stop kneeling. Stop sitting. Get up, rise, and grind. Guys, we're going to have to mess with the schedule a little bit. We are going to have to mess with the schedule a little bit. I will be here tomorrow at 5:30 a.m. However, Thursday and Friday, we will be live, but not until 8:30, okay? We will be live, but not until 8:30 on Thursday and Friday, all right? 8:30 Eastern time, okay? We'll be live 5:30 where I'm going to be, but we won't be live Eastern time at 5:30. We'll be live at 8:30 Eastern time. That's Thursday and Friday, but I'll be here tomorrow to join you guys, once again, on the Rise and Grind. I'll be here tomorrow to remind you guys, to remind you. I want to remind you specifically. I want to remind you, Frank. I want to remind you, Lena. I want to remind you, Dolly. I want to remind you, Troy. I want to remind you, Jeff. I want to remind you, Greg and Melvin and Robbie and Carrie and Michael and Jason. I want to remind you guys that you are amazing, truly amazing human beings. You are part of an elite group of people that are choosing. It's a choice. You are choosing every day to rise and grind. You are making a difference on this planet with your decisions. The energy that you are putting out into the world, it is contagious to your friends, to your family members, to the coworkers, to those around you. You are special. You are an incredibly special human being, uniquely designed by God to be the individual human being that you are. You are so important. You are so incredible. You are tremendously powerful and an important part of my life. And I absolutely love you. I love you. I do. If you need more videos, there's over 100 videos on youtube.com/inthebeginninginspiration. You can check them out. Also, make sure to go to GlennLundy.com and get your grind gear so you can remind yourself every day of how important it is to rise and grind. Hashtag rise and grind. So incredibly important, guys. So get your grind gear. Go watch the videos. YouTube.com/inthebeginninginspiration. Make sure to share this feed because everybody needs to hear this. Every morning they need to know they're special, they're unique, they are loved, and they are part of something that's elite. Everyone needs to hear it. Make sure you share and make sure you're inviting friends to the group so we can get as many people in here so we can make a difference on this planet. Have a great Tuesday. It's going to be warm. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be spectacular. It's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be the most memorable Tuesday of your life because you are choosing today to rise and grind. See you guys tomorrow.